health.
JP, are we getting an echo? Am I too close? Okay.
Fam.
You don't have to be on.
Thank.
Welcome everybody who's on Zoom. Looking forward to having a good meeting. Hope everybody's doing okay. Hey Tony, sorry.
Hi, Robert.
How you doing? I was going to come in just to see you and say hi and leave, but then she gave me the option of doing it from home or from the office. So
Okay, so when next time you're performing, I'll watch on Zoom too.
that's probably a good idea. Because I usually come in and I sign checks and I leave because of the
Takes very good care of me. He blesses
Zoom.
Takes
me.
really good care of us
He
too.
blesses me pretty well. So,
and that great haircut, by the way.
are you coming on Wednesday night to the Just?
Oh yeah, oh definitely. In fact, I got to make some calls. I went to the conference.
Okay,
So it was
great.
really-
Yes, I made my call.
We're getting feedback there.
All right. Anyway.
So I'm sorry I'm not going to see you in person.
Listening to us, I suppose.
Usually what I've been doing again is I get there early, sign the checks, and then I leave, and then get somebody else to make the announcements for me until my kids can get the
Oh, wait,
shot.
you the treasurer of the Rotary?
I'm the secretary treasurer, yes. So
You. Okay.
and then we're going to listen to Stephanie Stuckey today. So thanks for doing it. I just found out you were doing the singing just an hour ago. So
Yeah, I got to ask.
thanks for doing it.
Hard to say no from the executive director of the Philharmonic. Hard to say no.
Yeah, it is.
Did you have you heard that I'm singing with the Eagles on February 19th?
You're singing with the Eagles, like the
You're
actual
singing-
Eagles?
I'm gonna be on the stage at the Enmark
For the
Theater
Eagles?
for the
Really?
Eagles concert on February 19th with members of the chorus. We're singing.
That is amazing.
Unbelievable, right?
What are you singing?
We're singing the last verse of a song called "The Last Resort."
I probably heard it. I just don't
It's
remember
a
the name.
long song, and we're the fill is playing back up, and we're singing, with the oohs and ahs in the background.
That is amazing. I mean,
Pretty
that
cool.
is cool. Not only that, you get a free ticket probably to the show backstage.
Well, I'm backstage. I already have had to sign the non-disclosure agreement.
Right. That's awesome.
So
That is
that's the
awesome.
most fun so far.
I cannot wait to start going there for some shows. We're going to wait till our kids can get vaccinated.
Yeah, well,
I think
you'll be hitting us up for a raise if you do too many of them.
Yes, I know. My wife wants to go see Bon Jovi, I think.
Yeah, crazy expensive.
Actually, the executive director of the Enmark is in the Rotary. He's probably there right now.
Oh, yes?
Yeah. Super
Okay.
nice guy.
Don't know who is that?
Oh my goodness, I just forgot. Oh my God, Michael.
Oh, you mean the operations director?
Right.
Oh yeah, he spoke at our Kiwanis meeting last week.
Okay, cool.
If I
Super
could-
nice guy.
If I see him, I'll go say hello.
He's a great guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
all
Well,
of
thanks
this
for doing this. We appreciate it,
recorded,
especially last second.
prosperity.
What?
I'll see you Wednesday.
Yeah, or you can just come by. I can come by right afterwards and say hi. Last week, I actually got some of the chicken. The fried chicken there is excellent if you get some.
That's what I'm having for dinner, for lunch.
All right, enjoy.
I'll see you later.
Sing well. Hello, everybody. I think Dr. Spitalnik is going to be welcoming us. I just wanted to do it as well. Special hello to Father Shrek.
That whole conversation's been recorded now. You can
Yes, it
delete whatever.
has. It
Fortunately, we didn't
has.
say anything bad about anybody else.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Marjorie. Great to see you.
This is going to work, Robert. I hope your kids are feeling better. Hey, Sam.
Thanks. Well, there was a kid in the class who had it, so now they're home. But he just got tested and he does not have it right now.
Will it stay? So he just got tested? Is that right? Did you
Yeah,
say
he got
that?
tested, but he doesn't have it, so he's good. So, but somebody else, another kid got it in the class.
All right, I'm gonna make this so everyone
Have
can
fun.
see everybody here.
Let me ask you a question. Rich, I don't know how long you want to be on, sick. There's no reason that we have to sing. I printed out the whole song. I'm just going to talk for a minute or two, talk about the history of the song, because it's a really interesting story. But we
Maybe just do the two.
okay. So what?
Because usually they just get off.
Well, I'm only going to do one on this page because I've actually written that for today on the back that nobody knows.
And then you sing.
We're all going to sing it because I gave them. So we'll do. So but I thought it would be interesting for everybody to have all of the words.
Tony's got a big surprise for all of us today.
So anyway, but
That's
so
great.
we'll just do one and then we'll turn it
Yeah,
over.
I love it. Thank you.
All right.
And I'll ring the bell at 12:40.
There are a lot of empty tables, which means let me just scribble some of those songs. Yeah.
Oh, it is. How are you, man? All right. We sing a prayer or what? Oh, by the way. Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm all done. I'll share my ice cream with you. I'd like to pass up every vehicle ice cream.
Beautiful. Oh, yeah.
Be sure I come right after the beginning because Mrs. Davis is over there just crying. So
Okay, we got you coming in.
you're right after.
Right after the welcome.
I'm just trying to keep her together.
No sound.
Jim, I don't know if they've started yet.
Oh, okay. No, okay, no problem.
I think they're starting in 1 minute at 12:40.
Oh, a little late today. Okay, no problem.
Yeah. How are you doing, by the way?
I'm doing fine. Yeah, how are you doing? How's all the kids?
Kids are doing great. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to everybody online today. I'm gonna have a great speaker, obviously.
Oh. Well, we'll find out.
She's gonna be awesome.
Good.
I'm a rabbi, I know stuff.
Yeah, but
Is it ready?
there you go.
Is it at the table? When I used to get excited.
You got it. This is encouraging. So Good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Savannah's February 7th, 2022 meeting. Our song leader today is Tony Lembeck, a chorus member of the Savannah Philharmonic. Come on up, Tony. He's got a little bit of history about this song we're going to all be singing.
I didn't realize I'd be getting a standing ovation so easily. First of all, thank you all very much for having me. And for those of you that know Rex Benton and Dickie Mopper, if I do a good job, please tell him I was here. If I don't, please don't. The song that I picked for us to sing today is America the Beautiful. Ray Charles has been on my mind a lot, especially since I moved to Georgia. And so I picked this one. I've given you all of the lyrics to the 1, 2, 3, 4 stanzas that were written. We're only going to sing the first one that's on the first page, and then as a little bit of a surprise, there's a brand new verse written just for the Rotary Club on the back, so we'll sing that as the second verse. The song was actually written in 1893 by a poet who worked for Wellesley College, who wrote the poem while she was on a train going across America. And when she got to Pikes Peak, all of the images of the majestic sights that she saw came to her. So she wrote this poem down, and it was a poem that got published and was read for years before the 1900s, when there were 75 different melodies that were submitted to put this to music. And finally, the one by Samuel A. Ward is the one that we sing. The author of the poem is Catherine Lee Bates. So that's enough history. We're all going to sing. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Turn the page. My hostess city welcomes me each day when I arise. Majestic trees, historic squares, a wonder to my eyes. Savannah with its Spanish moss for all the world to see. I'm proud to call this place my home, nowhere I'd rather be.
Tony, that was great. Thank you so much. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roger Moss will now give our invocation.
Let's bow our heads. God, teach us to listen, help us to hear, and give us hope. Amen.
Please be seated. JP, we're going to need the video. We're going to now have Rabbi Haas. Please welcome our Rotarians and visiting guest. He is home because he's got a little one not feeling well. Rabbi?
Welcome. I hope everyone can hear me. Thank you. It's such an honor to be the first person ever to give the welcoming speech via the internet. And we have an incredible speaker today. And I know the real reason that I'm not there is that Carolyn is embarrassed to have me represent the club in front of such a esteemed speaker. So I don't feel bad about it, Carolyn. I understand, just like my daughter who doesn't love me most of the time. But I want to welcome all the people who are here today. Welcome to Ray Raybeck, Jeffrey Heater, and Jerry Thomas. Please rise. They are visiting Rotarians. And then as for our guests, we have a lot of them. Welcome to Graham Lansford, who is a guest of Stratton Leopold, Joe Marchese, who is a guest of Marjorie's.
Easy.
How do you pronounce it?
Marchese.
Marchese.
Joe
Sorry,
Marchese.
Joe. Welcome to Joe Marchese, who's changed the pronunciation of his last name to Marchese. Sorry. Welcome to Jennifer Abshire, Jackie Davis, both from the club, Jimmy Smith, with Heather Smith, Nick Hardy, a guest of Jim Collins, Doug Kellogg, a guest of John Jurgensen, Faye DeMassimo. I hope that's right. I apologize if wrong. She's the CEO of CAT. She's with the club. Andrew Walkoff, who is a guest of Todd Bayard. I hope I pronounced that right. I would always get that one wrong. Brent Scoggins.
Not even close, Todd said.
How does Todd pronounce his last name? B-A-A, Bayard?
Say it again, Todd. Bayard.
Bayard, I got it that time. I got it the second time. That is better than usual. Brett Scoggins, who is, of course, with End Market, who is a guest of Matt West, and Jessica Honor, who is with Ad Specialty. She is a guest of Diana Morrison. So welcome to all of you. Thank you very much for joining us and have a wonderful session.
Thank you, Robert. I'd now like to have Eddie Culver come to the podium to read a memorial resolution for John Davis.
John Paul Davis III. Whereas the Rotary Club of Savannah pauses to reflect with sad fondness upon the life and work of Paul John Davis III, a loyal member since October the 29th, 2018. In his short time as a member, John made his mark on our club by his willingness to serve and making new friends at each meeting. And whereas John was born in Savannah, Georgia on November the 10th, 1966, to Jacqueline Graham Davis and Paul John Davis Jr., and whereas he was a loyal and faithful member of the Calvary Baptist Temple, and he attended the Calvary Day School, graduating in 1985. John was dedicated to his alma mater, and he never missed the chance to cheer on the Calvary football team, as well as the Calvary girls basketball team. Whereas John opened John Davis Flores in 1988, where his great sense of humor and his love for family and friends helped him create a successful business at 2430 Abercorn Street. John Davis Flores was named Savannah's best florist for over 15 consecutive years. It and he were the best. Whereas John had such a giving heart, many of Savannah's organizations had prospering galas because of his generosity and donating floral arrangements. He had a deep love for animals and helped raise thousands of dollars for local pet charities. Whereas John was a loving and proud husband to his wife, Jennifer Abshire Davis, and a caring stepfather to Jennifer's children, Philip and Riley Abshire. He was the devoted son to his mother, Jacqueline Graham Davis. He also leaves his sisters, Paula Branson and Pam Rohde, several nieces and nephews, and more friends than anyone could ever name. Whereas no formal resolution could ever capture the life and spirit of John Davis, John was such a kind and caring person who had the ability to make people feel good about themselves. He was known for his bright smile, his infectious laugh, his love for people, and his signature saying, "Buy flowers." Whereas the Rotary Club Savannah does herein express their deepest regret upon the passing of Paul John Davis III and conveys its sincere appreciation of sympathy and condolence to his family and friends. Therefore, be it resolved that this resolution be adopted, that it be spread upon the minutes of the Rotary Club of Savannah, and a copy be presented to his family, adopted the 7th day of February, 2022. Marjorie W. Young, President.
Will everybody please stand for a moment of silence? John certainly knew how to light up a room, and he always lit up Savannah. He will be very missed. I'd now like to have Bill Durrance come to the podium to introduce our new member, Jim Tate.
Thank you, Marjorie. I spent a number of years on a microphone, and I think this is the first time I've been on one in 2 years. So, Jim Tate, our new member here. Well, we haven't got his check yet, so. Jim handed me, or sent me, his extensive biography. And then at the top of the email that this was attached to, he had a, "Oh, by the way, I have 2 kids." I thought I would have led with that, but he does have 2 adult children. And from everything I can tell, watching him interact with them, he loves them and cares for them, but he sent them to South Carolina. Little judgment call there. He indicated that he is an avid golfer and that he is divorced. He did not indicate if there was a connection between those 2 things. He is a now Ghost Pirates season ticket holder, and he lives downtown now. In fact, he lives downstairs from me. And I guess maybe the best recommendation I can make, aside from the his curriculum vitae here, is that for those of us who have eschewed lawn maintenance and live downtown, you know the complications of sharing common walls with other people, and Jim is doing fine. So I feel like the best recommendation I can make is we share common walls, and I still recommended him for membership. His resume is pretty impressive. He has a Bachelor of Business Administration degree in accounting from Temple University in Philadelphia, and a Master of Science degree in corporate finance from Georgia State. More than 30 years experience in public and private engineering, defense, aviation, technology, chemical, port, terminal, and economic forecasting industries. Since April 2018, he has been the Chief Financial Officer for Delaney Industries, Inc., where he leads all areas of finance and administration for Delaney and its subsidiaries. From 2014 to 2017, he was the Vice President of Gulfstream Sales Operations and Analysis. And for 5 years before that, he was the Director of Financial Planning and Analysis at Gulfstream Aerospace Corporation. In addition, he has served on the YMCA Corporate Advisory Board and is currently serving on the Advisory Board of the American Red Cross, present Chairman of the Philanthropy Committee. And I made a little note here that his newest line item for his resume, of course, will be all of the volunteer work he does for Rotary. So, Jim.
Come on up, Jim. We've got your red badge. Let's go ahead and put it on. And we ask that you stand at the door and meet all of the members. We ask that you get into a committee. I see lots of committee heads out here. We need lots of help. And in 6 months, you'll get your blue badge. So let's please stand and welcome Jim Tate to the Rotary Club of Savannah. Thank you. Yay. You take that. I now like to have, don't sit down, Todd. I now like to have Dr. Todd Gross come up and introduce our.
I thought you said sit down.
No, don't sit down. Introduce our speaker.
Probably something a lot of people have wanted to say. Sit down, Todd. Thank you, Madam President. Well, it's a real pleasure for me to introduce someone that I've only known for a short time, but have become a great admirer of, the CEO of the Stuckey's Corporation, Stephanie Stuckey. Stephanie is a native of Eastman, Georgia, and grew up in the Washington, D.C. area while her father was serving in the United States Congress. She graduated from the University of Georgia with a BA in French and then earned a JD degree from the University of Georgia School of Law. While in private practice, Stephanie served 14 years in the Georgia House of Representatives. In 2012, she became executive director of Green Law and Environmentally Focused Resource Center. And in 2015, she was appointed by Atlanta Mayor Kasim Reed to be the director of sustainability for the city of Atlanta. And then, as our friend Bob Jepson would say, then she began to dream. 2.5 years ago, she took her life savings and used it to purchase from her father the Stuckey's Corporation, becoming the third generation owner of one of America's most recognizable brands. And now she is on a mission to rebuild and expand the company. And you never meet anyone who is more passionate about pecans than Stephanie Stuckey, which means one day we're going to have a debate and she will lead it. Is it pecans or pecans? I won't take a show of hands. I had an opportunity to go to Ren's to visit the candy factory. Everybody in our office was calling it Todd's Willy Wonka experience. It was really pretty amazing. I saw molten milk chocolate. I ate pralines that were about like hamburger patties and that thick right off of the line. It was so amazing. I'm so impressed with her story. I thought you would be too. Please give a warm Rotary welcome to Stephanie Stuckey.
Thank you for that introduction, Todd. And in addition to introducing me, the most important duty Todd has today is he's already warned me that everyone likes to leave at 1:30 on the dot. And I will know when that happens because people will literally start to get up and leave. And so I asked him to give me a little signal. I thought something that might be a little subtle, a little nose. And he said, oh no, I'll just stand up when it's getting close for you to wrap things. So when he stands, that's my cue, and we'll have Q&A. I've been told, and I love Q&A. That's actually my favorite part. So I'm going to depart from how I usually do my presentations. And by the way, I am a Rotarian, Decatur, Georgia Rotary, and I have been speaking to a lot of Rotaries. I'm on the Rotary circuit, and I decided to depart from my usual Rotary talk today in honor of Todd. So I'm really going to focus on history and the history of Stuckey's, and I end with a special slide just for Todd. So little teaser there. So I want to start by just asking you to think about your grandfather or grandfathers, if you were blessed enough to know them, and remember something special that you did with them, how they were an incredible part of your life. And that was me and my grandfather. I have such wonderful memories of him. I'm a true Southerner, and I called him Big Daddy. Of course, he was married to Big Mama. But I had these wonderful, wonderful memories of my grandfather Stuckey, Big Daddy. And I loved him so much that I bought his company that was 6 figures in debt. So Jimmy Smith asked me today at lunch, he said, why did you do this? And it's because I loved my grandfather, and I loved what he built. and I knew we could get that magic back. So I'm going to take you a little bit on our journey. I'm going to tell you his story. I'm going to also tell you my story. And it'll be just a little bit of a trip in the Wayback Machine. And it starts with the side hustle. So I was also talking with Jimmy Smith about this because Stuckeys have a proud tradition of having side hustles. I'm a big believer in diversifying how you bring in money, and that's how Stuckey started. My grandfather was a product of the Great Depression. He had to drop out of the University of Georgia School of Law and farm cotton in Dodge County, Georgia in 1935, and he was absolutely miserable. So he started all these side hustles. He was selling college rings, he was selling railroad ties, and he started selling pecans because it was a bumper crop year. So jobs were not plentiful back then, but pecans were, and we can get into this more, but I go back and forth between pecans and pecans. My grandfather probably would be the best one to settle the debate. He said they're pecans, no, sorry, they're pecans when you pick them and pecans when you sell them. His logic being most people, especially what he called Yankees, said pecans. And so he would mimic whatever he needed to do to sell pecans. But on his own, he's a good middle Georgia boy. He would say pecans, and I creep into that occasionally and will say pecans too. Most Americans say pecans. So he started Stuckey's as a side hustle in 1937, selling pecans on the side of the road. And I love that sign. Look at the prices there. You know, a pound for $1. You can't get those prices anymore. And he grew from those very humble beginnings to what I like to say, he was the OG, he was the original roadside retail chain. Before Parker's, before Inmark, before TA, Pilot, Love's, Buc-ee's, all of that, there was Stuckey's. The first store was 1937. He offered gas, clean restrooms, quick hot meals, cold water. He used to advertise cold water. And of course, if you're familiar with Stuckey's, we sold kitschy souvenirs. So you'd find rubber alligators and shell statues and wind chimes and ashtrays shaped like toilets that say, put your butts here. So that was us. And we were the first chain to do that. And at our peak, we really were synonymous with the American road trip. We had 368 stores in 40 states. And we had, also 4,000 billboards. He used to joke that we had more inventory in billboards than we had in candy. And he had so many billboards, he would forget where they were. So we were really at the top of our game, and then we plummeted. And so I'm gonna fast forward to me, right? November of 2019, as Todd said in his introduction, I had just finished a stint being head of sustainability for the city of Atlanta, and my former colleague, Faye DeMassimo, is joining me. She's now head of the Chatham Area Transit Authority, so you need to get to meet her. And Faye and I served together as city of Atlanta. I had spent my entire life doing environmental work. I'm an environmental attorney. I was teaching as an adjunct at the University of Georgia School of Law. I had my life planned out. I was 52 years old, and I was not ready to change careers. And I am at my desk diligently checking emails, and I got an email from one of my dad's former business partners, and it said, Stephanie, hope you're doing well. Haven't talked to you in a while. Would you like to buy Stuckey's? I found out later I was the 10th person he had asked. At the time, I was very honored. I was like, wow. And I asked to look at the financials. I knew that much. I had never run a business, but I had run a political campaign. I had run an office for the city of Atlanta. So I did know a thing or two about budgeting. I ran an environmental law firm. So I asked for the financials. They did not look good. We were 6 figures in debt. I went to 3 financial experts. The first said, don't do it, run from this. I kept looking till I found someone who said, you should do it. So the third one said, yes, but. The but is, you're gonna have to work your tail off. But he also said, there's something that's not on the financial sheets, and that is the power of this brand. This is a great brand. A lot of people remember taking road trips. They remember pulling over. They remember those warm thoughts. And so there is something there. And so you should do it. And so I did. And, you know, has anyone ever embarked on a new adventure or career trajectory, and then like immediately your first day, there's like 100 things you didn't know about that were not right? I'm looking at Faye. Yes. So my first day, I learned so many things that weren't right. Like we were out of compliance with franchise laws for over a decade, and all we really owned was this warehouse it was a rented warehouse, and it was full of dead inventory. So I did a tour of the warehouse, and I found like 70% of the inventory really hadn't turned in about a decade. So I'm not an expert on supply chain or warehouse or inventory management, but that did not sound good. And so I started to go through these dusty boxes, and we had stuff like this. I love this photo because like I weirdly look optimistic. That's like my first week on the job. And I found 2 cases of Britney Spears t-shirts. Thank God she made a comeback. I sold all of these at a profit. So, I mean, you have to laugh. So, I mean, I had a warehouse that we were renting that was full of dusty inventory. We had 68 locations, none of which we owned or operated. We had our franchise agreements in shambles. I had to transition all of those into licensing deals. And I had to somehow figure out how we were going to make a profit. And our product, because we were no longer making our candy or our pecan part, we weren't shelling pecans. Everything was outsourced. All of our product was outsourced. And frankly, the quality was subpar. So I inherited kind of a hot mess. Here's some more things. This was some of the inventory that had not moved. So goth statues, we had John Wayne bobbleheads. I'm sorry, I don't have a picture of that. Just random stuff everywhere. Lots and lots of snow globes and about 10,000 fidget spinners. If anyone wants some, talk to me afterwards. And that's what a lot of our stores look like. The stores that were still there that we were now licensing because the franchise agreements had to be redone. That store is in Marion, Arkansas. That was probably the worst store. It literally had a hole in it, in the ceiling. I am convinced there's some insurance fraud there, but I just don't need to know. And I remember sitting there, and that was like my Scarlett O'Hara moment where she pulls at the turnips and I will never go hungry again. I had that Scarlett O'Hara moment in the parking lot of the Marion, Arkansas Stuckey store. When I saw that, I was like, this is absolutely my lowest point. I've sunk my life savings into this. But I had a moment of redemption in that parking lot because I forced myself to go into that store, and it didn't look so bad on the inside. And this was the crazy thing. I stayed there for like a half hour talking to the manager, observing. The place was busy. They actually were making a profit. So I thought, if this Stuckey's with a hole in the wall looking like crap is making a profit, imagine if this company actually had some love. Like, that is pure branding. That is pure people still like the company, and they're still pulling over even though it has really fallen on hard times. So that moment helped me. By the way, I was doing posts on social media of every store, and this just shows how desperate I was. I could not come up with a decent way to make that store look good. So I got a dashboard Jesus statue, and like the focus is the dashboard Jesus. And I thought that store needs some Jesus. So that was my social media post. Come visit Marion, Arkansas store. Okay, so now I'm going to go a little bit in the Wayback Machine about how did we get to that point? How on earth did we go from being synonymous with road trip, top of our game, 368 stores, to what you just saw? And the one thing I inherited that was invaluable, that Todd will appreciate, it was an afterthought. My mom came to me and she said, "Oh, honey, you bought the company. You might like this. Here's 6 boxes of your grandfather's stuff." I had 6 boxes of his archival material about how he built Stuckey's. It was all his papers. And so the man who was this to me, this was taken a week before he died. I'm the girl with the jug ears and the striped sweater in the back. And that's Big Daddy a week before he died. He went from being Big Daddy, going through his papers, to being Stuckey. This amazing entrepreneur. I knew nothing about that. I knew nothing about his history because he sold Stuckey's a year before I was born. So he was my grandfather. I didn't know him as a businessman, but it was incredible, his story and what he did and how he did it. And I learned his story, and then I started doing what he did. And now we're profitable, and now we're making it. So yes, applaud that. Yeah. Yeah, not to give away the ending, but we just got our year-end financials. So 6 figures in debt. We were $130,000 in debt when I bought the company. We ended the year over $1 million profit. We went from 2.4 million gross sales to a little over 11 million in gross sales in less than 2 years. So, yay. Yay us. Yay team. So I'm going to tell you, and keep up with the time, but I'll try to flip through his story some, but it's amazing to me how he did it. And it's a story of a resilience. It's a story of perseverance. It's a story of not giving up. So he started his company on the side of the road. He had several stores, and then World War II hit. And suddenly sugar was rationed, gas was rationed. He was not able to make product, and it didn't matter because nobody was stopping because nobody was traveling. And so he almost went bankrupt within 10 years of operating because of the war. And what he did was he started making candy for the troops. So he had to quickly go from making product on site in his stores to learning how to manufacture. And so he went from a couple of Bunsen burners to a candy plant. The very first candy plant we had was in Eastman, Georgia. And we were in the mess kits, just like Wrigley Spearmint Gum and Reese's and M&M's and Hershey's. So I love that we were doing our part for the war effort because you got quick energy from those candy bars. And he learned how to package. And so suddenly he had a whole new way of manufacturing and selling product. Is it fast forwarding? And so when the war ended and the GIs came home, the great thing is they started having babies, they started being prosperous, they got jobs, they got educated, the GI Bill, and they started traveling America. And so he was back in business. So he started building his stores again. And he expanded his candy plant, which should be the next slide. I love the candy plant because he employed women during the war because that was the only labor force that there was. But after the war, they all stayed on. And he was not only giving them jobs, he was giving them economic prosperity. And he was building up community and building up families. And I get so many letters from these women who used to work in the candy plant. And my grandfather absolutely loved, look, he's over on the right just grinning. He had so much fun. He knew everyone by name. He knew all the factory workers. And he really built a community in Dodge County in Eastman, Georgia with that candy plant. He also had a trucking company and our famous billboards. And I like what I learned from all that, reading about how he built that, was how he learned to be vertically integrated, how he learned to control cost, how he learned to control the business, because more and more he was making these strategic acquisitions and he was adding on to the company in a way that made him grow. And so that was such an important lesson for me. Okay, I got 5 minutes, so I'm gonna go quick. Here's his other resilience test was the interstate highway system. And Faye, I'm looking at you about the history of transportation in this country. This is a whole other lecture, but it suddenly tore up small town America, which is where Stuckey's were. Every single one of our stores was away from this new interstate that was coming down the pike. So he had to go from here. This is all Route 66, but we were on the Dixie Highway, we were on the Lincoln Highway, we were on all these old roads, and we went to this. And so he had to figure out what's going to happen to my stores. Hundreds and thousands of businesses went under when the interstate highway system came along. Neighborhoods were destroyed, communities were destroyed, but my grandfather survived. And he did it by saying, all right, I am going to pick up, I'm going to move, and welcome to beautiful Interstate 80. He embraced it, and he used it as an opportunity to go from these stores that all look different to, I'm going to brand, I'm going to have a consistent look, I'm going to have this turquoise roof, I'm going to have this logo, I'm going to get a deal with Texaco, I'm going to be the exclusive supplier for Texaco. He made more money from gas than he did from pecan log rolls. So that was another thing I learned from his papers. So he was really in the gas business. And he made every store unique. So even though they were branded and they were consistent, he still created an experience and sense of place, which is so important as I rebuild the company, is to get that sense of place. And I love this picture. This was the Stuckey's that happened to be near a fishing hole in Florida. And so he would sell bait and tackle at this Stuckey. So if you went to a Stuckey's in Texas, you would find 10-gallon hats and Texas souvenirs. And if you went to Florida, you'd find shell sculptures and whatnot. So he had a sense of place. By the way, this picture was in a caption contest on Facebook, and the winner was, "This is what you get when you use pecan log rolls as bait." Okay, I will fast forward, but this is my favorite story about my grandfather, and then I'll just whiz through the slides. But he's drinking a cup of coffee in this picture, and I will tell you the best story I learned about him was how he decided where to put his stores when he was relocating to the interstate highway system. And the way he figured out how far apart to place his stores is he would get in his car, he would get a cup of coffee, he would start driving. You might know where this is going. When nature called, that's how far apart he would space his stores. And I've joked, if he had only taken me with him on those stores, we would have double the number of stores today. So what happened to us? He sold the company a year before I was born to Pet Dairy Corporation. We had the Arab oil embargo. The Airline Deregulation Act suddenly made domestic air travel affordable, great for Georgia's own Delta, really bad if you were on the highway system. So it was this trifecta of really bad things. The company plummeted. We were bought out by another company that was a Chicago railroad conglomerate. They were like Voldemort to me. I will never say their name. But they totally trashed our brand. They did not get a quirky roadside brand that sold rubber alligators and pecan log rolls. They were about real estate. They sold off the company-owned stores. Our brand was completely trashed. It was spiraling out of control. My father got the company back. They basically gave it to him to avoid litigation from franchisees. And he, at the time, was running all the franchise Dairy Queen stores on the interstate highway system in America. It's a company he founded. It was a super profitable company. He kept Stuckey's alive for 30 years by pairing it with Dairy Queen. And basically, he funded Stuckey's through Dairy Queen because Stuckey's was not the moneymaker. And so fast forward 30 years, he sells Dairy Queen to Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett. He and his partners all make a nice, tidy sum. They retire. They leave the company being run by two people in rented office space, and it gradually declines. So that's when I entered 9 years after that. So that's how we got to where we are today. A week after I bought Stuckey's, by the way, this happened. There's only 20 original Stuckey's that are still operating, original stores. A week after I bought Stuckey's, that burned. One of the original, Nelson, Missouri, right off of Route 66. Broke my heart. So real quick, how we did it. Branding, branding, branding. I went back to our original logo. I did away with the garish 80s look that I love my dad, but I told him I did not like the way the company had changed the branding. That's my grandfather's signature, so that's an homage to him. I love the logo because the cross in that T looks like a trumpet blaring, just saying we're back. And it just so, to me, epitomized what our brand is about. So we rebranded. I got a business partner. We're going to make it, literally, we're going to make our stuff. We bought a candy plant in Rennes, Georgia. We bought a pecan shelling plant in Rennes. SBA loan, anyone who's a banker out there, thank you, SBA. And then I started looking like how I learned lessons from him. I found this old clipping, Stuckey's adds new machinery. It's actually the machinery that we just bought, like just a newer version. In that article, we're buying the same new machinery to innovate, and I say innovate, it's a newer version of it, and that's one of our new pecan sorters. That thing costs $100,000, so I'm super proud of it. I love this quote because it reminds me of my grandfather. Like when he had tough times, you figure out how to make the best of it. So what did I do with all that dead inventory? We put them into mystery boxes. We had about $14,000 in dead inventory, and we tripled that by selling mystery boxes. We sold almost 900 mystery boxes in 3 months. So all the Britney Spears shirts and the bobbleheads and it went in there, and we made a profit. Collaborations is another way we've managed to turn the company around. We've got a Stuckey's beer now. We're working on some other collabs. And I just had to shamelessly put in one of my grandfather's collaborations because I wanted to show a picture of Joe DiMaggio. At one point, Joe DiMaggio helped promote Stuckey's and came to Eastman, Georgia, and pitched for the Stuckey candy makers. So how cool is that? I would love to get Joe DiMaggio. We're bringing back the road trip. Okay, and we're also growing with partnerships. So we went from about 200 retailers selling our product to over 400 retailers, and we've got about 3,000 locations. We go as far as the Midwest. I'd love to get further west. That are selling our products, including Parker's and Mr. Enmark. Let's talk. Love to be an Enmark. Scoggins, Mr. Scoggins, let's talk. And that, I'll end with this slide. Well, I'll end with 2 slides. This is what happened to the Nelson, Missouri store. As of a few months ago, it is reopened and it's making a profit. So we're rebuilding. And that original pecan shed, I actually found it a few months ago off a back road in Eastman, Georgia, and we are in the process of restoring it. So, and I will end with a tribute to Todd. We have a historical marker where that first Stuckey's is, honoring my grandfather and my grandmother. That's it. 85 years of history. Done.
Do we have any questions? We got a question back there?
Great question. So stores are very expensive. The roadside retail landscape has changed dramatically since the 1930s, 40s, 50s, when my grandfather was really building his stores. And I remember at one point my grandfather was building a new store every month. Now a store is going to cost, like the travel plazas, those cost 3, 4, 5, 6 million. JP Travel Plaza in Jackson, Georgia, just went up 6 million. So we don't have the capital for that. And then you have to have operations. So what we are doing right now is licensing the brand to very select stores. They pay us a monthly licensing fee to use our brand, but we're really growing the brand by getting into more channels like grocery stores and convenience stores. And so that's how we're able to rapidly scale. Like Casey's in the Midwest just put pecan log rolls in over 1,000 locations. So I had to find the healthy business inside the unhealthy business. I had to find a way forward to move profit. My grandfather actually didn't own or operate any stores. He made all of his profit from selling product and controlling the distribution. So that's really our immediate path forward. We're in the process of acquiring a distribution facility in Augusta, and it's going to be 100,000 square feet. So we're really going to start distributing product, not just our product, but curating other products. So that's a large part of our growth. Eventually, I aim to own about 5 to 10 Stuckey stores that would be very, very brand forward and almost like a destination location. And I have this fantasy of buying a few of those standalone original Stuckey stores and completely renovating them and having them be like a little trip back in Stuckey time. So I just need to make more money. Buy more pecan log rolls if you support that vision.
We've got one more question.
Online sales have gone up 450% in year one, and I'm still tallying data from last year. So online sales are doing fantastic. Our biggest challenge is dealing with order fulfillment, getting the staff. At one point, I had to go down to our distribution facility and fill orders, and our board members. I mean, we had 3 board members and me filling online orders. So online orders are going crazy. And that's doing no advertising. So we're doing great. www.stuckeys.com.
Awesome.
All right.
Stephanie, what a happy story. Your grandfather would be so proud of you. Sounds like a movie or a documentary. I see Stratton in the audience here. I mean, seriously, that is fantastic. We've got a speaker's gift for you, and you were in sustainability. Of course, Rotary, one of our areas of focus is the environment. This comes from the Candler Oak here. It's a 300-year-old tree, and maybe you could plant it at one of the Stuckeys.
We'll
Yeah.
plant it in Ren's.
Okay.
Candy plant.
And Zoe can give you good instructions because we can only plant them until March, the end of March, right? It's going to get too hot.
Okay.
So there we go. Very good. That was wonderful. Okay, we've got a few announcements before I ring the bell. Next week, we will be starting the weekly raffle, and the money will go to Union Mission. Number 2, I want to thank 2 Rotarians, Deanne Mitchell and Jay Wendell. They have donated for the raffle prizes up at the conference. 3, the JA Colonial Group Discovery Center is scheduled for a grand opening Friday, February 11th at 4. Number 4, we have a tour to the Savannah Hilton Head International Airport on February 4th. Space is limited. Please sign up. 5, this one's really interesting. So Rotary International has been invited by the White House to participate in conversations on ways to support more than 100,000 men, women, and children from Afghanistan. They will be resettling here in the United States. So if you are interested in learning more information or how you can help, please let me know. I want to congratulate Monty Jones with the Oakview Group. There was a ribbon cutting this past Saturday for the new End Market Arena. It's beautiful. This one's also interesting, number 7. Our club has been invited to Belgrade. Has anybody ever been to Belgrade in Serbia? Yes. We need to talk. Okay. Of course, past President Ted, when he got the global grant for the robots over there, and we will be sending a group over of 4 of us in May. So we definitely need to talk. And did you know that Franklin D. Roosevelt was a Rotarian? Meeting adjourned.
I did not know Franklin Roosevelt was the Rotarian.
I didn't know that.
What part of DC are you from? Did you live?
Well, you're
Yeah.
welcome. Right by American University, off of
that's where I
Foxhole
grew up,
Road, by
yeah.
Sibley,
Yeah.
Lawford Road, Spring Valley.
I also
I went to National Cathedral School.
I got married at the cathedral. No
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah, so I
grew
went to
up
the
there.
school.
I'm going to send you my book. You need to write a book. I turned my father's company around too.
Oh my gosh!
I'll send it to
Let
you.
me give you my card.